It's July 2nd today, and I'm in such an in-between space. It's been interesting the last 24 hours, 48 hours. So I posted my first videos online, and just as part of that, I started to, I watched them back myself. And a couple things that are interesting, like listening to myself about a couple weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago now, has been really interesting, like to kind of like hear back the things that I was saying and the things that I was going through. And it's kind of like, it really is a time capsule into the recent past, which is pretty cool. It's also a good reminder of like some of the things that I had said that I wanted to do or that I would do. It's like nice to draw on that energy when I had that energy. Because I know that there are probably times when there was like a waxing and waning of various kinds of things that I might have been feeling. And I think it's in one of those periods right now where it's kind of like dipping on a lull. I was like feeling excited about having all of this content to release. And like these reflections have been really helpful just to kind of clear out some of the thoughts that are like rolling around. So that's nice. And at the same time, it's like I know that I'm I'm going to be dramatic. I'm standing on the precipice of action, and it's almost like, am I ready to take the leap? And if I take that leap, when I take that leap, what's on the other side? It's like, it's either nothing or everything. It could be either one. So it's almost like having to be okay with that at this point. Kind of like that idea of tempering expectations, not having like the not having that expectation or attachment to a specific result. So I think it's kind of, I don't know if it's counterintuitive. I know that often there are targets, there are goals, there are things to reach. And I never found that those things really motivated myself to kind of move forward. I think that whenever I want to move forward, it's because I feel like that's the right direction for me to head in. That's like simply what needs to be done in the moment. So I'm kind of feeling apprehensive. I'm feeling a bit of a pause. And I think that maybe it's just like the feelings are catching up with me. Like it's been a lot of ups and downs, and maybe not a lot of time to sit and pause. And or I should say I did take time to pause because I know how important that is for me. But then the pause was almost always a pause for recovery, to find space in the midst of all the chaos, to just reset. And then now that things are settling a little bit, like there's still like lots of different things up in the air, but nothing that's like really pressing, because that's just the kind of lull, right? Like the completion at the end of one particular chapter and the beginning of a new one. So before like things kind of like start to get going and start going off the rails and all of that, the pause here is interesting. It's kind of like contemplative, contemplative, because I guess there's like nothing like really like pressing and like moving forward. There are deadlines and there are things that need to be done, but they're not like like on that like defined cadence. And I think that that's important for me. Important for me now to take that pause before kind of starting to move things and ramp things up. And I'm thinking of, like, even as I'm like moving forward to like start sharing out this message and the program, and putting myself out there to say, hey, like I can help you. It's almost like, what am I helping people with? So I've been thinking about that a lot, because like I read a good post on Substack this morning about like the 5-1 profile from Eva, and I was talking about like 5-1 profile and some of like the challenges. And one of those challenges was like feeling like the need to over-explain everything. And I think if I look at the program that I've put together, it's almost like there's not like over-explaining, but I feel like the root cause or the root problem that we fundamentally have in this lifetime, in this existence, is trying to figure out who we are, and then to operate from that place in all the different spaces, whether it's family, whether it's friends, like leisure, like whatever hobbies you're into, or work. And it's the idea of like professionalism. I think in a lot of the spaces that I work in, there's like that idea of professionalism. And like, especially when you get into leadership, there's like a certain defined way of what leadership looks like. And I don't know if that's like really where the future is headed, because like that way of working is almost a little bit exploitative, where your value is only as good as what you can produce. And it's not, of course, to say that things shouldn't be produced. Like there are always outcomes, but sometimes when the focus becomes, the focus is on production, then you're producing just for the sake of producing rather than like working towards like a specific goal, right? One of the things from the MBA that I really loved, that I really enjoyed, was the strategy. Kind of like thinking through strategy. So we were taught a framework called the Diamond E. So it's like all the different factors that affect strategy. Like strategy is just one piece of it. So like looking at where that fits into like the bigger ecosystem of everything that's going on. It's like sometimes like leadership strategies are maybe not that well thought out. And it's thought out more on a like, how do we get this particular result, rather than how do we get there and make it sustainable. And that's maybe by design, right? Because it's easier to just have those short-term like goals, like get to the short-term step before, and then like worry about the rest later. And I guess like that's never been a way that I like to do things. And maybe my pattern is avoidance. Like if I can't get there, then I'll just kind of like put it aside and wait for later to come back to it, if ever. So like thinking about leadership and how like all of this work happens, I think it's important to start from a place of like understanding who we are as individuals first. And that's where this deep transformation comes in. I think that whether it's a matter of affirmation, affirming the qualities that you are already aware of, that are your strengths, and then identifying the things that you might have identified as like weaknesses or opportunities for yourself in the past, and then realize that those things are not really your place to operate in anyways. So it's not that you are lacking of something. It's just simply not your place. It's not your center to operate out of. And once that gets clarified, then it becomes a lot easier to look at how to become effective in terms of like relating to other people, so that you can let go of the things that you no longer need to do, and you can lean into your strengths. I think that there's opportunity for that in almost every organization, because especially in healthcare, the conversations are always kind of around how do we do more? How do we do more with limited resources? And I think we do more with that by being efficient. Not in the sense of doing more with less, but doing things more effectively in ways where people who work in the system are accounted for as part of the system as well. So it's not good enough to achieve a certain result or a specific result if the people that you are leading, that are depending on you, that are looking to you for your support and for your vision, if they're not able to do it in a way that where they are not burning out themselves. And it's like, I feel like I'm overcomplicating something. And in some ways it's like, I think it's both. It's simple, as well as there's like, if you dive into it, you could really think about like all the different ways of, like the different kind of like experiences that you might be having within a certain thing, different situations. And it's kind of like, if I want to have like do something, like do I need, so actually like when I first started with hypnosis, it's actually a really good example, because like there are different protocols that are taught for specific different things. Like they're just nice ways of working with different issues, let's say. So like, for example, if you have a fear or a phobia, something called the rewind technique might be applicable, or might be really good. If you have some type of feeling or symptom, like you could work through it with like a kinetic shift of like shifting your feelings into some type of color or image or something, and then changing that, like editing it. Kinetic shift, or like so many other protocols. And when I first started doing sessions with people, I remember like, okay, like this person wants to work on, let's say, like a limiting belief. So then it's like, what's the protocol for that? What's the thing that, like, what's the way that I would do? And like at that early time, it was like helpful to kind of like get into a place of like feeling prepared, like having a plan of like, okay, when the person shows up across from me, these are the things that I'm going to do. And then inevitably, like I would get talking to this other person, and then it turns out that there's like either a deeper issue or something that's slightly off, and then like off like the usual, like the beaten path, or the whatever I had thought the problem was. So then I would just go with the flow and end up doing something, but it would almost never be exactly what I had planned. Oftentimes I found that I was more successful when I went with the flow, excuse me, rather than trying to stop the flow and just do what I felt like I thought needed to be done, but not what was exactly in front of me. So it's that idea of like, prepare, have a plan, and be open to all the twists and turns that are going to be coming. So I guess it puts me right now into this space of like contemplating action and what the potential outcomes could be. So I have, like, for example, LinkedIn open on my screen right now, and I want to post something there. And it's like, where do I start? because I finished my MBA, a lot of my classmates are posting about their MBA journeys and things like that. And I guess, I don't know, like I don't post very much on LinkedIn. Is that something that I want to broadcast? Is it like, I'm just trying to like, I guess like think about how I'm being perceived, and I'm worrying about that. Not like I have anxiety worry about it, but like it's giving me pause of like, am I starting from the right place? And if I were to just think of the lesson, like the thing that keeps coming through is to just do something, like do something, put something out there. Just kind of like I did for YouTube. Even in the past, like I put together like podcast episodes and recordings and things like that, and just put them out there. And I think it's a consistency thing. So if anything that I could do better is actually just being consistent and just continuing to continue putting out the message. Just like with this, it's been helpful. I did have some concerns initially, like starting this whole series of recordings, whether or not I would be able to maintain it. I think that, like, just looking at how it's been for the last number of days, it's been nice to just pause and have this time to reflect. Not specifically about anything, but just about like getting in front of the camera and putting information out there. Or at least putting my thoughts into space. So yeah, kind of in between space. And I'm feeling like, okay, now I'm in July, and I said July 31st, and I still don't know exactly what I'm going to do. And maybe like one of the thoughts that's coming up is maybe I'm doing too much. I can simplify, right? Rather than having to be everywhere, just be somewhere. And that's enough. So, yeah. I guess the worry, the deep-seated worry is always that, well, if I show up and then no one else does. But that's not so bad, I guess. We all got to start somewhere, right? And I guess if I don't show up at all, nobody will show up anyway. So it's almost like, what's the net difference if I do something and do nothing? And like theoretically, the end results could be the same, and at least I showed up. I guess it's like applying for jobs and work and stuff like that. Like, do I like not apply for things, right? And it just, like, from that perspective, it kind of makes sense. So is this like putting my job application out into the world? Like, am I applying for something? I don't know. We'll see. Thanks for listening.